In this video, I'll be comparing Gyroflow versus dynamic active mode on the Sony ZV-E1. I'll be testing both using a gimbal and just handheld. Is Gyroflow still worth the extra effort in post? Do you still need a gimbal? In this comparison, I'll try to find out. First, let's have a look at no stabilization. So I'm just holding the camera handheld here. I'm walking down the ramp at a pretty normal pace, not trying to ninja walk or anything. This is just to establish a baseline in how shaky the footage is before any stabilization is applied. This first comparison will just be dynamic active straight out of the camera and handheld. So again, I'm walking pretty normally here. You can see some jitter, some shake, but it's nothing too distracting in my opinion. It's still usable, especially in short clips. Now looking at Gyroflow, there's an immediate difference here. Gyroflow looks a lot more stable. It's a lot better at handling the Z-axis, which is bobbing when I'm taking a step. So I think it's already proving its worth here over just the in-body image stabilization, as we would expect. Now the next clip is my gimbal, and I'm still using dynamic active. A gimbal is a pretty small one, so it's not quite able to handle perfectly all the movements of the camera, so I find dynamic active helps. I do think it's pretty close to Gyroflow handheld, and I'm pretty happy with the clips that came out of here. Now Gyroflow on a gimbal is likely overkill for most scenarios. The only real movement I see here is a very minor amount of bobbing. That's totally acceptable. To me, this is probably the best, especially if you are trying to get some really good looking footage. I do like how it came out of Gyroflow. So to wrap things up on the comparison, I think dynamic active was the worst. It had jitters and shakes that were pretty noticeable. The gimbal with dynamic active was much better, but still was in third place. It was handling shakes and jitters a lot better than just handheld for sure, but it didn't really hold a candle to Gyroflow handheld, which is surprising, right? This might be the easiest way to shoot things if, you just want to get some travel footage. Gyroflow and the camera is pretty compelling. You don't need to carry around a gimbal. It looks really good regardless. This is probably going to be my choice for travel videos. Not having to carry on a gimbal is huge. Even though my gimbal is only around 540 grams, it's the smallest gimbal that can handle it. It's the Quay M2S. Still, it's something I need to carry in my backpack versus just having a camera. And the footage is more than acceptable to me just with the camera and Gyroflow. Now in first place, a Gyroflow and also a gimbal. This definitely gives the best stabilization. I think it could work for certain shots for me. If I needed to make something look really stable, really cinematic, or if I had really shaky footage, maybe I'm on a boat that moves a lot or somewhere else. This might help to make a footage usable. I think ultimately it's up to you to decide which stabilization method makes the most sense for your use case, but I think for travel, I do like just going handheld and Gyroflow, especially with computers being so powerful these days. If you have a built-in GPU, it's just so easy to stabilize things, and that's worth its weight to me of saving weight of the gimbal on travel. Just to wrap up, here are my settings on Gyroflow. So I'm using a FOV of 1 and a smoothness of 0.3. I chose these pretty much arbitrarily. This is my first time using Gyroflow. I'm not a veteran of this solution, but I find this solution, Gyroflow, is a lot faster than using Catalyst Browse. I use Catalyst Browse, and I think it must be using CPU accelerated or non-accelerated encoding because it takes so long just to stabilize one clip. Gyroflow, you can definitely select the options to allow for GPU acceleration, and that's huge. Plus, if I need to do batch encoding, I need to pay for Catalyst Prepare, and that's a yearly $150 something subscription. Gyroflow is free, so might as well save some bucks there. I ran into a problem shooting with 10-bit on my ZV-E1. I basically couldn't use GPU hardware acceleration for Gyroflow if I shot any 10-bit setting. I tested with pretty much every codec on the ZV-E1 and every setting, and none of them would shoot in the pixel format required for Gyroflow. The video about calling Riverside on my channel actually uses CPU encoding because I didn't know the settings before, and I wasn't using dynamic active mode to stabilize the footage. It came out pretty well in my opinion, but it actually took around 10 hours to stabilize what was around 20 minutes of video. So to me that's a huge trade-off, and I need to be able to shoot with something that Gyroflow can use GPU encoding on to make this viable. The compromise I settled on is shooting 8-bit, so for now it looks fine. I'm just uploading to YouTube. I would love to use 10-bit for that extra dynamic range, and also do have HDR on the TV, so it would be nice to enjoy some of that. So if anyone does know how to get 10-bit working with GPU acceleration on Gyroflow, please let me know. What settings are you using? That would be great to actually use as well on the footage. Anyways, that's it for the comparison. Thanks for sticking around. I'll definitely be shooting with this combo going forward, and hope this helps you if you're using Sony camera, if you're looking for this comparison. Please do like and subscribe if you found it useful, and feel free to follow the channel for related content about travel, about cameras. Thanks again, and have a good one.